Welcome to another 10-minute mystery. Take a moment to like and subscribe, and let me know of any mysteries you'd like me to cover.
Disclaimer: the subject matter can sometimes be triggering or graphic. The information given is in my own words, and I will speculate my theories. Sources for photos and info that I used will be linked in the description box below.
Now, let's get into it. The mysterious Circleville letters. In 1976, in the quiet town of Circleville, Ohio, Mary Gillespie would receive an anonymous letter in the mail accusing her of having an affair with the superintendent of the schools, and that she would need to end it or else. She would receive a few more letters, but she would ignore them, stating that the accusations were false. She just assumed that the letters would stop, and they kinda did, until one day her husband received one telling him that his wife was having an affair, and if he didn't make it stop, his life would be in danger. Even though the letter was threatening, the Gillespies would not go to authorities. Instead, they would confide in Mary's sister and her sister's husband, Paul Freshour. They would devise a plan to write a letter to the suspect, claiming they knew who they were, and that if they did not stop writing the letters, they would report them to the authorities. Paul Freshour would write the letters. Seemingly, it would work, as the letters would stop for a while. In 1977, Ron Gillespie, Mary's husband, would receive a threatening phone call in which a verbal altercation would ensue, and Ron would slam the phone down, seemingly confident he knew who was on the other end. He would then run and get his gun and charge to his truck. Ron, unfortunately, would not get far. A little down the road, Ron would be found in his truck, dead. His car had crashed into a tree. Upon investigation, it was noted the gun he had on him was fired a single time before the car accident, but no witnesses nor any evidence would be spotted. The sheriff would determine the cause of death as an accident, omitting the gunshot and ignoring the signs of foul play he stated were present. This would fuel more letters that would speculate the sheriff was involved in a cover-up, but nothing ever came of those speculations. After the death of her husband, Mary would retain her position as a school bus driver, and in 1979, Mary and the superintendent of schools would come out and confirm a relationship, but they would state it did not begin until after the letters had started. It's very suspicious. In 1983, as Mary was driving her bus route, she would start passing harassing signs with abusive phrases made towards herself and her daughters. After passing one about her daughter, she decided to get out and rip the sign down. Little did she know that when she pulled that sign down, she would find a box with a pistol rigged as a booby trap. It was then that she realized somebody may be trying to actually kill her. An attempt was made to remove the serial number from the gun, but it was not successful, and the pistol was traced back to Mary's ex-brother-in-law, Paul Freshour. During questioning, Paul would claim the gun was stolen. He had no idea where it had gone. The sheriff would not believe him, and he would be charged with the attempted murder of Mary Gillespie. While he was in holding, the sheriff would have Paul copy the letters in his own handwriting, attempting to prove Paul Freshour was the letter writer. Handwriting experts would state that this is not the proper way to get a handwriting sample, but still during trial, experts would testify that his handwriting was a match. So, Paul Freshour was found guilty of his charges and confirmed as the Circleville letter writer. He would get a sentence of 7 to 25 years. Shortly after his incarceration, Paul would apparently receive a letter from the letter writer from Circleville taunting him and exclaiming, "Now when are you going to believe you aren't getting out of here?" Paul himself would be placed in solitary confinement with no writing utensils or abilities to send or receive letters unmonitored. Yet, Circleville residents were still receiving letters. In 1990, Paul would be up for parole, and it would be denied because the parole board held him responsible for the letters that had continued. Eventually, Freshour would be paroled in 1994, claiming his innocence of writing the letters, until late 1994 when he did claim writing at least 40 of those letters. Unsolved Mysteries would cover the story in 1997, and they would also receive a threatening postcard telling them not to come to Circleville and to leave the sheriff alone. Paul was interviewed for the broadcast, but was still claiming innocence. More information would come out about the booby trap and how a yellow El Camino was seen at the spot fiddling around with a pole in the area that was never put in the discovery for Freshour's trial. Paul Freshour would die in 2012 and would take any information that he had with him. But who wrote the rest of the letters? There has been speculation that Paul's ex-wife and the ex-wife's new boyfriend were responsible for composing the remainder of the letters, as well as the booby trap set to harm Mary. But of course, no one was commenting, and the Circleville police still sustained that the Paul Freshour was the sole letter writer. And there are still no answers for how Ron Gillespie died, or who or what he may have shot at before wrecking his truck. That was my 10-minute mystery on the mysterious Circleville letters. Who do you think wrote the letters? Do you think they're still out there? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for another 10-minute mystery.